Hey guys, in this video I'm going to demonstrate the dust Photoshop action. So the way this action works is that you start off with your photo, you then fill in your subject with a color, you run the action, and this is what this action will create for you. Okay, so I'm going to work through two examples. In the second example, I'm going to open up this photo here, and I'm going to show you how to place photos within different areas of the dust. Okay, so you can see these trees here running through the fox's body. Up on his back here you can see a valley running through there, and to the left here you've got some clouds, and up here I've also just added a few birds. Okay, so I'll show you some more examples of the effect. So here's the before, and there's the after. Alright, so I'll jump into Photoshop now, and I've already got my photo open. So as usual, with my actions, we just need to go through a few things just to make sure your file is set up correctly and you don't run into any problems. So firstly, when you've opened up your photo, look into your layer panel here, and go to the top right hand corner icon, click on that and go down to panel options. Right down the bottom here, make sure add copy to copy layers and groups is ticked, okay? Excuse me, click OK there. I'm just going to drag this back here. Next, go to image mode. Make sure you're working in RGB color mode and 8 bits channel is selected. That's very important. Next, go to image size. As always, it's best to work with high resolution photos, so you can see the size of mine here. I always recommend a good range to work with is between 2000 and 4000 pixels. So if your photo is a bit small, you can scale it up or just look for a high resolution photo. Okay, I'll click cancel there. So next what we need to do is load up the brushes that were included in the download. So if you just hit B on the keyboard or select the brush tool here, right click anywhere over your photo and click on this top right hand corner icon, and you can either select load brushes. If you select load brushes here, the brushes will appear at the bottom of the stack here. But if you select replace brushes, it will replace all these with the ones we're going to load up. So you can use either. I'm just going to replace these and select the dust brushes.avr file, and there are the brushes. So when you've loaded up the brushes, it's very important that you check the opacity here. So always make sure that the brush opacity is at 100%, and make sure this icon here is turned off. Okay, you'll run into a lot of errors if that's turned on, so make sure it's turned off. Alright, so now what we need to do is create a new layer, and on that layer we need to fill in our subject with a color. So if you go to layer, new layer, this layer must be called brush, all in lowercase letters and no spaces. Okay, that's very important. The action won't work at all if this step isn't right. So click OK, and so the idea here is to select your brush layer and fill in your subject with a color. But what I'm going to do is hit W, get my Magic Wand tool out, and I'm just going to make sure sample all layers is ticked. So that way I can just click on this white background, and what it will do, it'll make a selection around my subject. Okay, but if I now fill in this subject with a color, so to fill in a selection with your foreground color here, which is black, you can use any color, it doesn't matter. You hold down Alt backspace or Option backspace, but that's filled everywhere except our subject. So I need to invert this selection. So Control Shift I or Command Shift I. Okay, and then fill it again, Alt backspace or Option backspace, and there you go. Control D or Command D to deselect a selection. So it's done an okay job. I won't spend too much time fixing this up. So I'm just going to grab my pen tool here, hit P, and click and drag around the edges here. Just fix this up a bit. Oops. Okay, I'll fill in this part. What else? I think that'll, just fill in his hand a bit. Okay, that'll do. You can obviously spend a lot more time tracing around your subject. If you're not too confident with making selections with the tools like the pen tool and the wand tool, you can just brush onto your layer. So for example, I'll just create a new layer for a second. So say this is my brush layer. If you hit B, I always include a soft brush in the top left hand corner. You can select that and you can just start brushing onto your subject if you want to do it that way. Okay. Alright, so I've got my brush layer here. I've traced around my subject. That's all good. So what we need to do now is load up the action. So if you go to Window, Actions, it should pop up to the right hand side here. If you click on this icon here, click on that and go to Load Actions. Select the dust.atn file, okay, and it will pop up here. Now when you open this folder, the dust folder, there are two actions, and I'll explain. It'll make more sense to you after I've played this first one. It's called 1 dust emitter and below is 2 dust emitters. So before we run the action, we'll just double check everything again. So hit B, make sure your brush opacity is at 100%. That's turned off. It's all good. You spout brush correctly, no spaces, no capital letters. Alright. So select the 1 dust emitter action. Okay. And all you want to do is press play. Now, pretty much as soon as you've pressed the play button, you will get a message pop up, and it reads, in the next step, move the green circle to where you want the dust to emit from. The dust will go around around the area that you position the circle in. After you have positioned the circle, press enter on the keyboard to resume the action playback. If you need assistance with the step, just check back on this video tutorial. Click continue below to proceed. So this step's very simple. All you need to do is click continue. And what you'll notice is that the action has stopped and we have a box around this green circle that will appear roughly in the center of your photo. So all you need to do here is move this to where you want the dust to emit from. Okay. So this is the big difference between the actions here. We've got 1 dust emitter and 2 dust emitters, and this will make more sense why I've included 2 dust emitters as I go through this tutorial. So I'm just going to position it roughly here, and the dust, will grow around this area. So all you need to do is hit enter when you've positioned it, and as soon as you press enter, you'll see dust start emitting from that area. Okay. Now when that dust has been created, you get another message. It says, in the next step, there will be 5 pop-up color picker windows. Each color picker window represents the color of a dust cloud. After you have selected a color, click OK on the color picker window or hit enter on the keyboard to proceed to the next color choice. I've added a tip here. It just says click on areas of your photo to sample a color. Click continue below to proceed. So this step is again very simple. All you need to do is click continue, and you'll see this color picker window pop up. Okay. So now as I start clicking around here and changing colors, you can see that it's targeting a specific dust cloud, and that message said there's 5 pop-ups. So there's 5 different clouds here that we can color. Alright, now with that tip, I suggested to click on your photo. So all you need to do here is click on your photo and you can sample different colors, which is what I like to do with this action. So I'm just going to sample a blue there, and you can either click OK on this window or just hit enter. So I'll just hit enter and it will move on to the next color choice. So you can see as I now click around, it's targeting a different color. So I'm just going to click pick a yellow, maybe I'll select a black, I'll go for another blue, and maybe another yellow, and click OK. And that's it. The action will now run through to the end. There is one more pop-up at the very last step of the action, so I'll fast forward the video and get to that point. Okay, so this is the message that will pop up right at the very last step of the action. It just says, in this final step, start brushing where you want your subject to be visible. The brush is already selected for you, so all you need to do is start brushing. After you have finished revealing your subject, the action is complete and you can begin experimenting with all the layers. I've added a tip here. It just says brushing white, which is the active color. will reveal your subject, and brush in black will hide your subject. To quickly switch between black and white, hit X on the keyboard. And I've just said, remember that every time you run the action, the arrangement of the dust is randomized. If you want to experiment with different results, simply delete the main dust folder and run the action again. If you need help, just check back on this tutorial, click continue below to proceed. So all you need to do here is click continue. Okay, and I've already selected a brush for you. You don't need to play around with the colors. So all you need to do here is start brushing where you want to increase the visibility of your subject. Now, one thing to note about the way these dust emitters work is that you can see that it has chopped off my subject to only appear within the dust area. Okay, so where two dust emitters comes in handy is that my subject here was quite long, so I placed that first emitter up high. So if I use two dust emitters, I can place the second one down below, which I will show you now. Okay, so that note about deleting the dust folder, all you need to do is select the main dust folder here, hit delete, and you can run the action again. So what I'm going to do, before I go into all the layers, we're just going to jump to two dust emitters, and I'll show you how that works. So I'm just going to click play, and we'll get that message to move the first dust emitter. So I'm going to put this first one up high, so the dust will sort of cover the upper half of his body. I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see the dust start to emit. I'm going to click enter here, and I'm just going to pick some colors, black, yellow, hit enter again, and now the action is going to proceed for about 20 to 30 seconds, and it's going to get to that second dust emitter point. So I'll just speed the video up a bit here. Okay, so we're at the second dust emitter point. So it just says, in the next step, move the green circle to where you want the second set of dust to emit from. After you've positioned the circle, hit enter on the keyboard to resume the action playback. Click continue below to proceed. So just click continue here, and here is the second dust emitter. So I'm going to put this one a bit down lower so to cover this area of my subject. Hit enter, and you'll begin to see the next set of dust to emit around this area. Okay, so we're at the point here where we can color those dust clouds. So hit enter here and pick some colors. Okay, and now the action will proceed to that final pop-up where we brush on the visibility of our subject. So I'll speed the video up again. Well, here it is here. It just says, so I've read all this, so just click continue. And again, you can just start brushing where you want to increase the visibility of your subject. Now, if part of your subject is chopped off, okay, all you need to do is start brushing to brush that back in. It's very simple, okay? And like I said, if you hit X, that will revert to black, where you can brush away, you can hide your subject, okay? So white will reveal it, like that. Black will hide it. Okay, so I'll just brush that back in. Something like that. Alright, so let's now jump into all the layers. So I'm just going to collapse the actions panel here. Just going to widen this out a bit. So when the action stops and I prompt you to start brushing to reveal your subject, we're actually working with the mask on this layer here. And it just says reveal normal photo, and I've got in brackets here brush mask. So I've already got the mask selected for you. Okay, so if you select that and brush white, that will reveal the subject, black will hide it. Now if I hold down shift and just click to disable this mask, okay, you can see it's just a cutout of our brush layer. Alright, and the visibility is just controlled through the mask key, so you can see where I've brushed. Alright, so after you've done that, what I like to do is jump back up to the dust folder and collapse all these folders that are open. So you can see everything's left open. So to quickly collapse it, just hold down Control Alt or Command Option and click on this folder arrow. Click on that, release the keys, and then open the folder, and everything is collapsed. Alright, so let's go down from the top here, and we'll go through all the layers, and we'll customize this image, and just so you're familiar with how everything works. So firstly, we've got the dust folder. If you turn that on and off, you can see the before and after. Okay, Now this layer here, we've got overall contrast, in brackets here, opacity. So whenever I've got in brackets opacity, I'm just reminding you to play around with this layer through its opacity. So currently it's at 25%. So if I click on that word opacity and drag to the left and right, you can see how it increases the contrast of your image. So I might actually remove all the contrast because I prefer that. Okay, now this layer here is called Overlay Original Photo Color. Again, I've got in brackets brush mask. So if I turn this layer on and off, it does nothing. It's because our mask is black, it's hiding the layer. So if I invert this mask, Control I or Command I, it makes that layer visible, and you can see all it's doing is overlaying the original colors of your subject. But I've told you to brush onto the mask, so you can sort of control where you want the original colors to appear. So just hit B, make sure white is your active color because we want to reveal this layer. You can start brushing on areas where you want to reveal the original subject colors. Now what I like to play around with here, I'm just going to fill that black, is after I've revealed the areas of the subject where I want to be visible, maybe I want the color to appear exactly in those areas where I've brushed the visibility of my subject. So what you can do is select the mask here, and if you hold down Alt or Option and click and drag up onto this top mask of the original photo color layer, you see it's copied that exact area that I brushed onto this layer here. Okay, so I've got that color appearing in that exact same spot. And you can also control the amount of color through the opacity here. Alright, so if you just want a little bit of the original color, just do that. So I'm using about 70% there. Okay, so that's a handy thing to know, and I use that a fair bit with this action. So this layer here, randomize overall colors. If you want to play around with this, just double click on this layer, and you can play around with this handle here, which will just randomize all the colors. Alright. Okay. Next is dust area subject visibility. So what I might do, I'm just going to turn off these two layers to demonstrate what's going on here. So if you go inside this folder, there are two layers. Now if I turn this layer on and off, you can see that what it does is just adds a little bit of random detail from your subject, and that will only appear within the dust that's been created. Okay, so that's why I've called it dust area subject visibility. Okay, so this layer here says subject visibility. I've got in brackets here brush mask. So if you turn that one on and off, you can see that that's what's showing the visibility. And you'll notice that when I turn it off, you still get this outline of your subject, and you get different clouds appearing within your subject, which sort of helps define the edges a bit more. So how I like to use this layer is I select the mask and I just hit B, grab my brush, and if I brush black, I can remove some of that visibility, and then you get a different sort of style. But if you hit X, I can sort of brush that back in. It works in a similar way to revealing this layer here, reveal normal photo. It's just a different option here, different way to control the appearance of your subject. Whoops, brushed on the wrong way. I'll select the mask. Okay, so you can play around with that. I've got this layer here, remove subject color. You don't really need to turn it off, so it's just best to leave that where it is. Okay, so I'll turn these back on, and we'll keep moving. This folder here, dust, and I've got in brackets here inside subject. So this is a dust that will appear only within your subject. So if I start moving that around, you can see the dust there. Now if you go inside this folder, we've got 5 different individual dust clouds that you can move around, rotate, scale, and also change the color. So for example, this one here, I can start moving this around. So you can see that there. And to quickly experiment with the color, there is these color boxes above the layer. All you need to do is double click on them and select a new color, and you can see update there. So I like to spend a little bit of time here just playing around with the position, get something that looks pretty cool. So I might move that to there, and I'll just continue to do that. select each individual layer, move it around to see where that layer is. So maybe I want that there, and then I play around with the color, check out whites. Maybe I'll use a white and hit Control or Command T to rotate that layer. So maybe I want white there, yellow, I'll leave that there. Back up to the top, we've got this yellow, another yellow one at the top. I might check this out in white, black. No, I'll keep that yellow. The blue one here. It's looking pretty cool. I might just increase the visibility of this guy's foot here. So I'm going to select the Reveal Normal Photo Brush Mask layer. Select the mask there, hit B. Just going to brush that back in. Okay, looking pretty good. So I'll just close that for the moment. So that's the dust inside the subject. Make sure you go inside and move them around, experiment with changing colors. And then we've got all these folders here, dust set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And in each one of these folders is a different set of dusts, which you can again move around, change the color, do what you want. So this folder here is the dust particles. If I turn that on and off, I'll move it around so it's a bit obvious. So you can see there those individual dust particles that will appear randomly over your canvas. If you go inside here, I've got 4 different individual dust particle layers, and you can again change the color. If you want a lot more of these particles, just select the folder, hit Control or Command J. That will duplicate the entire folder, so you can then move those around. But going inside these folders, it's all the same setup. Just got the individual layers and where you can change the color. And what I also like to experiment with here is you can see that 2 dust emitters will emit 5 different sets of dust, and 1 dust emitter only creates 3. So you got a lot more options with the second one to move them around and reorder these folders, which I always like to experiment with. So what I like to do is I go to the bottom folder here, dust set 6, and all you want to do is drag these up. And when you start dragging these up, you can see that the design changes because we're reordering the position of all these dust clouds. So what I like to do is I'll bring this to the bottom and I'll use the shortcut keys. Now if you hold down Control and right square bracket, what that will do, it will move that folder up the layer order. So what I'm doing here is just moving it up and looking around my design to see, and asking myself, do I prefer it in that position or not? Okay, so actually I should prefer it in its original position, and then I like to go up one, okay, and I'll do the same thing, Control right square bracket to go up, and Control left square bracket to go back down. Again, I think this looks pretty good where I might leave it there. Dust set 4, I'll move that up, take a look. Dust set 3. Dust set 2. Funny enough, most of that ordering, or pretty much haven't moved anything. It's very rare that I get it, always looking how I want it to with the layer ordering. Always seem to move these folders around. But what I also like to do here is change the colors. There's quite a lot of black in this area here. So what you can do is, to quickly identify where those layers are, you can either just flick the folder on and off. It gives you an idea what set of dust clouds they are. So there is a black one in here. So I go inside and there it is. Okay, you can tell by this black box here. So I'll double click on that box and I'll just switch up the colors a bit. Might go for yellow. This next black one. Let's see where that's hiding. There it is there. What you can also do is if you hit V, that'll activate the move tool, and you can just select this box here, auto select, and when you start clicking around on the different dust clouds, you can see in the layer panel here, it is identifying where that is. So it might be a bit tricky sometimes, like in this busy area here. You can see that it's not quite selecting that black cloud that I want, so I'm just going to unselect that. And what I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to collapse these folders again. So Control Alt or Command Option, click on that folder arrow, reopen. So everything's neat again. So it's going to identify where that black. So it's in here. There it is there. Let's try a different color. Might go to blue. And what you can also do is move, you don't need to just reorder the whole folder. You can actually reorder individual layers as well. But what you want to do is move the color along with the layer below. So you hold down Control or Command and click on multiple layers. That will select them both, and then you can just move them up. Okay, so it's moved it out of that folder into a different position. That actually looks pretty cool, so I'm going to leave that. So you can experiment as much as you want with the position of folders and layers. You can duplicate individual dust clouds. So this one here, say if I wanted another one, hold down Shift, select those two layers, and if you hold down Alt or Option and drag up, that will duplicate that layer. Now I can move that around, rotate it. Alright, so maybe I want that, and then I can choose a different color. Might actually go that yellow. I'll just leave it there. Okay, so that's all the dust sets, and if you want to, don't forget that I put masks on everything so you can control the visibility of that layer. So say if I, it's a good example here. Let's just say, for example, that I didn't want this this bit of blue dust up the top here. Oops, where was it? I've lost the folder I was working on. That one here, dust set 2. Say if I didn't want that, and I just want to quickly erase it. What you can do, select the mask on that folder, hit B, make sure black is your active color because we want to hide anything that's within that folder. So select the mask and brush that away. So that's a really quick way to just control the visibility of things, and you definitely want to just turn the folder on and off, and just have a look around, and ask yourself, does for example, what was it? Dust set 4. Say I prefer this area here. I like that little bit there, but when I turn dust set 4 on, it sort of hides it. All I can do, grab my brush and hide that little bit area there. Okay, so you can be really specific on the appearance of the dust. So going on down, we have this folder here called background dust. Now if you go inside this folder, there are 2 layers here. I'll turn this folder on and off. You can see that it adds some subtle dust in the background. Alright, you can move them around, they're quite big, these layers. So yeah, you can position those. If I zoom out, Control or Command minus, Control or Command T to scale, you can rotate that. Alright, now another thing to note about these layers is that the opacity is quite low at 30%. You can increase that, and it will just really increase the overall density of everything. But I always just like to flick it on and off to see if I prefer it with it off. In this case I do. I like how it's sort of defined a lot more of the edges of the dust with it off. Okay, so I'll just turn it off. And here you've got the background color. So all we need to do here is double click on that box and you can select a different background color. Really simple. Okay, play around with that. And there is our main photo. Now if you want to export your design on a transparent background, all you need to do is turn off the background color and your background layer. and now everything is on a transparent background. So you can save that out as a PNG and then drop that onto your other designs. Alright, so I'll just turn these back on, and what I might do is I might brush away whoops, I'm going to go inside here. I'm just going to brush away some visibility to his midsection here, because I kind of like how you can just see, you know, the edges of him, and the rest is just pure dust. So looking around, I'm just checking out where else I could potentially do this. Maybe a bit there. I'm going to increase the overall visibility here. A bit on his knee. So I might just do that bit. Check out the contrast again. Yeah, I like it without. Now, if you want to make some overall adjustments, you know, to the colors and you know, maybe a bit of brightness, what you want to do is click on this icon down here, create a new fill or adjustment layer. Click on that. It's chopped off a bit on the screen, but you've got a lot of options here to, you know, play with the color or brightness, exposure, all different things. So what I like to do is add a curves adjustment layer, and you want to add this at the top because you want it to affect all the layers below. So if you wanted to add a bit of brightness, you can, you know, click in the middle here, grab that curve, drag it up or down to make it darker. Or to add contrast, you click in the middle, add a point there, drag this down, and then create another point at the top, drag that up. Okay, so I've added a lot more contrast there. And generally what I like to do is, you know, exaggerate it a bit, you know, make it quite strong, and then I'll control how much of that I want to use to its opacity. So it's at 100%, I'll drag that back to 0, and I'm slowly dragging to the right to increase that. Okay, so you can see, yeah, I prefer it, definitely prefer it with a bit more contrast like that. It's sort of added a lot more saturation to the colours as well. So, and also what I like to do is add a hue and saturation adjustment layer, and I just check adding a little bit more saturation to the colours. So you can see there's the original, and you can increase the saturation or decrease it, take colour out, but I'm going to add a lot more in. That's looking cool. And another one I like to use is selective colour. Click on that, and in the colours drop down list here, I switch this over to neutrals, and you can use these handles here to experiment with adding in by changing the colours a bit. So add a bit of cyan, and I just drag these handles around to get a general idea of how that slider is affecting the colours. And then I like to jump to the blacks. So neutrals and blacks, and then you can add colours into the dark areas. But I think I like it as is. So I'll just set that. So I've got these 3 adjustment layers I just created. I'm just going to turn them all off. So there's the before. There's the after, so you can make it punch, make it sort of pop a lot more just by fine-tuning specific things. Alright? Okay, so let's check out the before and after. So I'm going to just turn off the visibility for the dust photo. So there's the original, and there is the dust action. Okay, so just again a reminder that every time you run the action, the rotation, the position of the dust is going to be randomized. So you can always, you know, run the action a few times, save out each Photoshop file, and see what combination of dust you prefer. But you can also, like I said, just rotate the layers, recolor them, do what you want manually. Okay. So I'm going to open up the next example now, and I'm going to show you how to place images inside different areas of the dust. Alright, so with this example, I'm just going to show you how I got these photos. You can see these trees here within the fox's body, this river here running along his back. I'm going to show you how I got those into the design. Okay. Firstly, I'm just going to talk to you about a few bits and pieces that I've done with the layers. So again, I've just added a curves adjustment layer here. So that was down here and then curves. And what have I done? I've just added a point in the middle and just added a little bit of brightness to it. Okay, you can also check out contrast again by clicking down here and dragging that down. But I like it where it is, so I'll just leave that. Okay, looking at the mask here, so I've got my reveal normal photo layer, and if I turn it off, all I've done here is, if you hold down Alt or Option and click on a mask, you can view that mask. So you can see all I've done is brushed over the fox's head to increase the visibility. So the action finished, and then I was prompted to brush where I wanted to increase the visibility of the subject, and all I've done is brush a little patch over his head because the action did a really nice job of outlining the fox. Okay, so I've done nothing. I haven't added any of the original colors because I like the colors of the dust and how that's affected everything. What else have I done? Dust set 2, I can see I've added I've brushed black onto this mask. So if I just hold down Shift and click on that mask to disable it, you can see I've just cleaned up that area a bit. I didn't like, it was just a little bit messy there. So I've just brushed a little bit of black there to hide that area. Dust particles, I can see I've brushed a little bit of black here. So if I hold down Shift, I didn't really need to do this, but there's these couple of little dots that will bug me a little bit, so I just brush them away. And that is really it for there. So let's take a look at these trees and how I got them in the fox's body. So firstly, I identified what dust folder that area was in. So naturally I thought it was within my subject, so it must be inside the dust inside subject folder. So I went inside there, and all I did was I turned off individual dust clouds here, and I just asked myself which area would work best to add in some trees. So I was clicking that one on and off, and I thought, oh, okay, that area could work well. So you can see here is my trees here, but I'm just going to delete that layer for a second to show you how I got that in. So there was the area that I wanted to target. Okay, I'll delete this other trees layer and this one here. Okay, so that was pretty much minus these clouds in this valley image. When I ran the action, that was the dust that was created. I moved them around a bit, and yeah, like I said, I just turned these on and off, identify which ones I wanted to work with. So this one here, all you need to do is select the color layer, and you go to File, Place Embedded, and you get a window which is prompting you to select the photo that you want to import. So I got this photo here. I'll double click on that. Okay, and you can see that when you import it, you get this box around your photo. It's just basically Photoshop asking you to scale it or rotate it into position. So I'm just going to move down and hit enter. So you can see at the moment it's it's filling in most of our fox, which I don't want. I only want it to be within that specific dust cloud. So if you hold down Alt or Option and move your mouse between the trees layer and the dust color layer below, you'll see a white box with a black arrow appear. And when you see that, just click. And what that will do, it will restrict this layer to only appear within the boundaries of this dust layer below. So you can see these arrows pointing down to that dust layer. That's what I've done with these color layers as well. I've restricted them to only appear within that area. So now when I select my trees layer and move that around, you can see the trees appear there. So all I did was position them into an area which I thought looked cool, maybe something like that. Okay. Now the next step is that I wanted this photo to adopt the color below. So at the moment it's it's got the original colors. So to do that, all you need to do is change the blend mode to luminosity, so it removes all the color and adopts the color below. Okay, or you could try different blend modes as well. You could try something like multiple, which is actually what I went for. You can see what multiple does. It will remove all the white pixels and try and keep all the dark pixels. So you can see that there, which I thought worked really well. But you can go down this list here and just try different blend modes, see what works. So I went with multiple, yeah, and then you can just move it around and get a feel for what looked good. So, and then I went down to, I actually added one in here as well. So I'll go to that same, or what I could do is just hold down Alt or Option, and I'm just going to click and drag that down. That'll make a copy. So I want to add more of these trees down here, but I only want it to appear in that tiny little area. So again, hold down Alt or Option, move your mouse between those two layers. Or you could use the shortcut keys, which is Control Alt G or Command Option G. That will clip it to those layers. So now I can move that around. I mean, it's very subtle details you're working with here, but that looks pretty cool. Let's try overlay. Might try luminosity for this one. No, we'll go for multiple. Something like that. Okay, let's target this area here, which I think is that one. I'm going to use the same tree image again. So Alt Option, drag it down. Control Alt G or Command Option G, clip it. Okay, looks pretty cool. And I just went through the same process with this area over here. I'm just going to click Auto Select and select this cloud, this area here. Okay, so now it's found that that photo. I'm just going to uncheck that. So there's my cloud. Whoops, a bit slow. There's the cloud photo. So all I did was import it. I've set the blend mode of this one to luminosity, and you just move that one around. And this valley image, was this folder here? No. I'll use auto select. I think that's it there. That is it. So I've done what I've done here. I've set this one to luminosity, and I'm just going to hide this mask. So when I clipped it, it was intersecting the fox's face a bit too much. So what I've done, I've selected the mask and just brushed those areas away. If I hold down Shift, I didn't like how it was too strong, the white up here as well, so I brushed that away. So the only area that I really wanted the focus to be on was this area here, and how this this mountain sort of slopes down along the ear. Thought that looked pretty cool, and also this tree line here sort of matched the contour of the back, which I thought was pretty cool. I added a few more clouds up here, and I also added this subtle bit of detail here with these birds flying off. So how did I do that? I'm going to collapse these folders again. So the birds, I'm just going to hide them. Whoops! I'm just going to hide the mask. Set the blend mode to normal. So that was the photo that I imported. I removed all the color, so I pretty much just got black and white here. So all I did was I set the blend mode to multiple because that got rid of most of the white. Okay, and then I just used the mask to brush away those hard edges. See that there? Okay, and if I just hit B, make sure black is my active color. You can see it's just a bit more. I can probably brush away a bit more there. And if I want to increase the darkness of that, I could duplicate the layer. Okay, so that will increase the darkness. So that's all I did there. And what else I do? I just obviously changed the background color. And I can also see that I've just reordered the position of these folders. You can see dust 2, 1 and 3. So I've just played around a little bit there. So guys, that is it. I'll check out the before and after. So there was the original photo, and there was just with a little bit of work. Okay, so if you're having troubles with the action, I'll put a link down to the help page below. Have a read through there. If you're still stuck, my email address is there, so you can contact me. and I'll help you out. But if not, have a good time using the effect. Thanks, guys.